this is Dorothy Smith, and I am back with the fourth project for the Spruced Up workshop, and it is a single page layout called Cherish This. And as you can see, it's got a background of white. Well, this is our new color called French white, and so you can see the difference between the bright white and the French white. So it's slightly darker white. And, you know, I can get what they were going at with the kind of everything light except for the trees to make it look and feel real snowy. But I just wanted more depth to my layout. So like another layout that I did, I'm adding some background color that is in the same palette that they're using for Spruced Up. So I'm adding a piece of toffee and a piece of mink. And on the mink, all I'm going to do is cut off 1/4 of an inch on 2 sides. So that gives me, you know, like 1/8 of an inch showing the darker brown, the espresso or whatever I just said. And on the French white, I'm going to take 1/2 an inch off. So that will allow the mink to show through the same amount as the espresso. So I just wanted a little bit of dark around the outside, so it just kind of looks a little bit more finished to me. So I like the way it looks. I guess what you could do if you wanted to would be to distress the outside edge. If you feel the way I do, that it just kind of looks so white and stark. So I am taking out the pieces of die cuts that are left from the pack. And those are 2 mounds of snow. And then that came off of another piece that was the inside of something. The framework was the part for the other layout. And this has 2 frames that cross over each other. And so there's just a little hint of color that is going to pop through between the frames. So I'm taking out those pieces that are going to allow a different color. And the reason why I picked the espresso and the mink is because there is a hint of espresso in a couple of little pieces. So anyway, I do like that background with all the deer and the trees without the leaves on them. So here are some firs or pines or whatever that are going to go in the foreground. And these are going to be background trees, kind of looking like a shadow of a tree. So I'm going to pop that out. And the next tree is more of a fern color. Instead of the deep dark green, so this is more of a fern green. So look at how nice that looks with the shadow background of the trees, the mink color. Now this is just a little bitty pattern that is going to go into those open triangles. And don't know if you can tell, but it's got the design is in a dark color, and the dark color happens to be the espresso or toffee. Maybe it's toffee. Can't believe I can't remember it now when I just said it earlier. So that is going to go on in those triangles. And then the deer are going to go into the big square of the frames. So I've got some things that, excuse me, this is a little triangle piece that was one of the die cuts that I punched out earlier, thinking it was before I realized that the die cut sheets were misnumbered. And so I'm going to let that start. Going I'm going to glue it in place and let it firm up and dry to the side, but I just wanted to get it kind of going. So that kind of makes the letters of this stand out a little bit more. And the other thing I'm going to do are put the little grouping of trees together, and I kind of decided that what I wanted to do was to pop up the trees from the background trees, the kind of shadowy trees. So I'm going to use, I was thinking of using the Tombow, but I'm going to use some of my pop-up squares from my shaker windows. My favorite thing. So, and I don't totally cover my backgrounds. I've seen some ladies completely cover their backgrounds, but I figured that these pop-up foam squares they're very strong. It's a very strong adhesive. So my feeling is it's not like you really have to totally cover them. And so I'm just kind of setting where I want to put them. And there they go. And then the tree here that's the lighter green, more of a fern or it's a yellowish green. So I'm also going to pop it up, and they're going to go kind of in front of the darker green trees. So I'm using every little bit of the foam that comes with those shakers. So sometimes you just really need a little skinny pointy piece, like in the bottom of the tree there. And so all of those pieces are very useful. You know, sometimes you don't want a piece that's quite so big. So anyway, here's my trees. And these are my snowdrifts. Being from the north, I've seen snowdrifts. Texas, not so much. I think the weatherman said it's been 1,700 days since Texas has had any, at least this area of Texas has had any kind of snow. Sad. Very sad. On this texture paste, so mine is starting to dry out, and so I would suggest that you don't save your supplies for just someday in the future, because they're going to dry out on you. So I'm kind of digging deep to get the deeper stuff that's not quite so dry as the stuff on top. And I'm using some glitter here. I found this other glitter that's more crystal-y glitter for the snow than the other. I had kind of a shabby chic glitter for the other layout that I did. And so I'm just going to work this in real good. And I actually put quite a bit on there. And it looks just like snow. So I think it's perfect. It's like that snow when it's been very cold out and it's been sitting for a little while and it gets kind of a crust on it and it gets all sparkly. Well, that's what my snow looks like. And since I've got to make my snow down here, that's how we roll. If you don't get it from the sky, you've got to make it up. So anyway, I'm just kind of, excuse me, mixing it up real good. And then I'll just kind of run it along the edges of the snow mounds. And then I'm going to set them aside to also let them kind of dry. And I don't think they'll take too long to dry, just because my paste has dried out considerably. I may have left it open or something at some point for it to dry out. I think the last time I used it was probably 4 months ago. So like I said, I would suggest, don't hold on to your supplies. Use them. Otherwise you're just accumulating supplies that aren't used. And that's why I'm organizing my office right now, because there's a whole lot of that going on in my office. It's like if you collect stuff and you don't use it, then you've got to get really smart about how you're going to organize it so you can put your fingers on it when some of us have more than what we really need to do crafts, if you know what I mean. So here we go, using our texture paste. And also that, that I can't even tell you how old that glitter is. I mean, I can't tell you. It's been years. So for goodness sakes, what's the point of it sitting in the closet? And I'm not scolding you, I'm scolding me. It's like, what's the point of saving everything, all this pretty stuff that you get, and not put it to use? So I'm just kind of scraping off the edges here. Of course, it gets all over everything. You can sort of see how glittery it is. I put it so close, it goes so out of focus. I'm sorry. You think I'd learn. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to throw away my little working area here. I get so many of these pads. Goodness, I can't begin to use them all. So, I feel like I'm wasting paper, but I'm kind of confining my mess, and I do make a lot of mess. So there we go. I've got my title drying, I've got my snowdrifts drying, and now I'm just going to put some Tombow on and get the background in place. Oh, I should have brought some water with me. And I apologize. So at some point, everything starts sticking to everything else. And my Tombow is kind of giving me a fit. This one, the cartridge isn't very good. It keeps on doing this thing where it doesn't feed properly. It doesn't roll in the on the uptake spool on the inside. It doesn't roll right, and so every so often I have to stop and wind it back in. I don't know what causes that. Anyway, now I have to figure out how to lay the square with all the deer on the inside, because I don't remember what I'm doing here. So I'm just trying to figure it out. And it keeps on getting caught, so we'll flip it over and do it this way. Try to figure out which how to set it down so I can see the triangles. I'm having trouble with that. I could have marked the corners. That would have been smart. I could have marked the corners on the back side of the frame to remind myself where to lay the square, how to lay the square. So these are the triangles that were the die cuts that I'm just putting in place because I put Tombow over those open areas also. See, just a little bit of a design, something a little bit different. And what I'm going to do is put my Tombow on there, and I'll put the first layer onto the mink, just showing about 1/8 of an inch or so, just a little bit. And then I'll put this one in place. To show off the darker little bit. It's just a hint. So nothing overwhelming, doesn't take away from the layout, doesn't draw your eye really to the outer edge because it's, so much. So it's just a little hint, just enough to maybe kind of pull some of the internal colors of the layout together. Anyway, it's not something that you have to do. I just wanted it to look a little bit more finished, maybe a little bit more confined. I don't know. See, my Tombow's giving me a fit. And I think Tombow sent out a notice. If you have a problem, you can contact them or send them back or whatever, and they'll replace these. So, but not a big deal for me. It's like once you get it going, then it kind of starts rolling right. Anyway, so here we go. And because it's cattywampus, it's a little hard to center, but there we go. And one thing I didn't do was to cut some mats, picture mats. So I need to use, though I was wondering why I had a second sheet of French white just hanging out doing nothing. It's because I forgot to cut it. So I'm cutting some 4 1/4. They're going to be 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 photo mats. And I'm just cutting 3 to go on this. It's hard to use snow backgrounds when you don't have a lot of snow pictures. I'll have to dig up some of our old snow pictures. Because it's a really nice layout. I love the colors. And I like the deer. And like the trees, and I like my snowdrifts. So what I'm going to do here, because it's kind of hard to tell, it makes more sense now. The frames look like they're equally cattywampus. So it kind of looks like where the frames come together and cross, that's the center. But I didn't pick up on that until I'm looking at the overview here. So I'm going 1.5 inches over from the left edge and snugging the photo mat. And then I'm just going to go like 1/4 of an inch over and put that last mat. I was worried whether that was going to look good or not, but it's cool. So, there we go. Now I'm going to add some more Tombow liquid to the Cherish part. And I'm kind of falling off the page here. And I'll set that on top away from the pictures. They show them kind of over the picture, but because I'm using liquid, I'm going to put it on top. And see, that little piece of toffee paper kind of makes this stick out really nicely. So, and these were die cuts also, and I'm popping those up and putting the little square off to the side so I can have an open area underneath the snowflake to put the picture. So that is completely open under there, and the adhesive, the glue squares, are on the part that doesn't touch the pictures. So I'm going to use my regular flat Tombow on the trees. They've got plenty of popping up, so this can be flat. And look at how nice that pop of color looks. The green, the dark green really stands out. So there's a little sticker in the moment that is going to go on top of those trees. And then when I look at the picture, I kind of figure, well, it looks like the snowdrift should go first. And I apologize that I'm working off screen. But I like this whole workshop. I think the layouts are really gorgeous, and I hope that you've enjoyed watching me put these together. And most of the country looks like, on the weather, looks like it's had snow, and you have a lot of good snow layouts for your wonderful snow pictures. And those of us in the more temperate climate have to wait for our snow or go elsewhere for our snow. So I'm also popping up my snowdrifts so that they can be in front of the trees. Anyway, I'm gonna, I'm trying to get this behind. Probably should have put the little one down first and then the big one. So if you're doing this, when you do it, you may want to put your little drift down before, and then you can set your big drift on top of the little drift so that it kind of makes sense. And I can't just have that hanging out there, so now I've got to put a pop-up on the back side of the in the moment. And this is where you want a smaller piece because the foam was too big for the little strip, and so it stuck out, so I had to cut off the edge. But I ended up having to pop it up so it could be on top of at the same level as the snow. Anyway, there's my layout. It's pretty well finished except for the little journaling. And it's going to be that circle there, which I'm thinking I'm going to have to put, I'm putting the placement holders in for the 4x4 pictures. So I was thinking that that was just a plain circle from the die cuts. And lo and behold, on the other side, there are lines. And I was thinking, well, I'm going to have to draw some lines. What am I going to draw lines with? And then I was glad I turned it over because, poof, it was done for me. So never forget your journaling. You know, pictures without any names or dates or anything don't mean anything to somebody when you're not around. It's a blank thing. What am I going to do? Oh, look. Woohoo. Empty lines. Yay. I don't know. I amuse myself, and it's scary. Okay, so I'm going to put this behind the trees. It's kind of like a full moon rising here. Got to show enough of the line so you can say a little something. And it kind of looks blank. And look, there's a cute little sticker here. That little sticker is screaming, "Put me there, put me there." Ta-da! How cute is that? Okay, I'm really happy with this layout. I like that with the darkness behind this, which is all cut out, the edges really kind of pull it in. So I am glad I did that. I like the way it looks. I like my glittery snow. And that's the last of the projects. So let me just do a quick going over, put that one out of the way, and pull these over so you can remember what the whole kit and caboodle looks like. So the first one I did was this one. Seems like a long time ago. And the next one I did was the 2-page with the wood background, which I love. So there it is. And then the second 2-pager is this one. And I like the way that one looks too. I really like those wood trees that stick out. So I'm happy. I think it's a really nice, really nice layout kit. And you've seen it. It's pretty easy to do. This last layout took me about 34 minutes. I speeded the video up just to help the whole situation out. But it's about 34 minutes for that. Very little cutting, all set to go. Great die cuts and great stickers. And below you'll see the link to my website where you can purchase the workshop. Thanks for watching. Bye now.